Shine your light because your inner light is love.
That's Your Inner Light Is Love, the brand new single from Right Said Fred.
Their debut single, I'm Too Sexy, took the world by storm in 1991, and they've since gone on to have a career in the music industry spanning more than 3 decades, achieving #1 hits in a whopping 70 countries along the way.
Iconic pop duo Right Said Fred. Brothers Richard and Fred Fairbrass joins us now. Good morning to you guys. How are you?
We're all right, actually. Thank you very much.
We're good, thanks. Yeah.
Good to see you this morning. Look, I mean, so many bands and musicians over the last year have really just hung the mic up and said, we're not going to bother. Not you two guys. You're turning out the singles.
Well, yeah, we were getting fed up.
Yeah. And we have a history of doing it. We've been independent since '95, pretty much. So we just record irrespective of public demand or common sense, really.
Yes, exactly.
Fred, just looking at that single there and just listening to it, the two of us were swaying here in studio. It's very positive and it's very upbeat, and I think something we all need right now. So was that done on purpose for you to release something around about now?
Yes, it was. Yes,
Yeah.
When we were writing the song, we had certain parts in writing. We have certain parameters that we wanted to try and achieve. So this was a campfire, sing-along, feel-good song. They were the goals. And once we'd started writing it, we knew that we wanted a gospel to choir, which is the gospel undertones, and for that sort of evangelical.
Yeah. We had a good picture of this, actually. I think.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And I suppose with the vaccination programme moving along at such a pace in the UK, it looks like you guys might be out on the road then quite soon. Are you actually planning something?
No,
we're not. No,
we come from a very sceptical point of view when it comes to vaccines and the future of live events.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm afraid. Yeah, because we think there are so many hoops to jump through. Just as a very small example, if we were to take even if we were allowed to, say, to do a show in Germany, we would have to have the whole crew tested. We would have to be tested. And then the question is, who pays for it?
Yeah.
And also, what you need is on the way back. People who don't know, when you're on the road and it's not a show day, it's called a travel day. Mm-hmm. But everybody still has to get paid. You still have to eat. You still need somewhere to stay. Mm. We would need an extra travel day if we did a fly-in or a fly-out. So that would probably be taking another $3,000 out of our budget. So I think at the moment, I think it's unlikely, but. We live in hope.
Yeah,
exactly. The only way we can live, for sure. But with that in mind, you guys were talking to you, obviously, on Skype at the moment. So have you been real fans of being able to reach out to your own fans and to engage with them, in a viral sense by playing concerts, mini gigs, engaging with them?
No, what we've been doing...
in the last year, you mean?
Yes, in the last year, yeah.
No, we haven't done we've been asked to do some virtual shows, and I watched a couple. The connectivity is not stable enough, in our opinion. We have done a lot of interaction with fans through certain platforms like Cameo and Sled VM and Memo, those sort of things. We also have been doing a lot of engagement via Facebook and Twitter, and so we've upped that sort of interaction. And also we've got a couple of meetings tonight and tomorrow, which is what's interesting. I mean, we're not fans of lockdown at all, but what is interesting is there's a lot of people in the music industry reaching out to other people. Well, I use the word reaching out there.
How American?
How American? Yes. There's a lot of people in the music industry contacting other people saying we have to make this work. So there's a lot of creativity out there, and I think that's a good thing. Getting away from habits, breaking habits, is a positive thing in our opinion.
Yeah, we were definitely stuck in a rut, not rut, but we were going out and doing festivals and stuff all the time, and so we weren't thinking about writing new songs. We weren't thinking about how we wanted to sound or anything. So the lockdown for us has been a benefit from that point of view. It's forced us to think more carefully about how we want to proceed, really.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, there is some positive coming from this lockdown, is that musicians like yourselves are getting in touch with other musicians, and like even here in Ireland, they're forming co-ops and they're trying to help each other and get through it, where they would never have done that before. And it's a lovely feeling of solidarity.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
One of the interesting things about being in a band is that before this, bands were never friendly with each other. Not really. You know, you
Not in pop.
not in pop. It was a pretty unfriendly kind of place. And that has changed, I think.
Yes, it has,
Everybody's on the same boat, as you say.
Yes.
So that's a positive thing. And one of the things to remember, of course, in the theatre, you know, you're part of a company, you're part of a group of people, and so you have that mutual support. And there's a camaraderie there, which wasn't the case in pop, I don't think, until this lockdown thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, lads, about your gorgeous late mum, Betty? Because, as you know, all this week here on Virgin Media, we have been fundraising for the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland. When we checked about an hour ago, over €120,000, which is phenomenal. But you have first-hand experience because your own mum had been diagnosed as well. And what was that experience like for both of you?
The long goodbye is exactly true. That guy on your show who described it as long, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it was weird. In our experience, the early transition for Mum and for us was really, really upsetting because she didn't understand what was going on, and she kept saying, "What's happening to me?" She was still lucid enough to recognise this transition. Weirdly, once Mum had become advanced, if you like, Alzheimer's, she was actually a bit happier because she'd forgotten her old self, if you like. So there's a little bit more stability in her. From our point of view, it's a good shot. Yeah. From our point of view, it's miserable.
Yes.
And for all the relatives, it's a pretty unpleasant thing.
I think that's one of the things that never really gets talked about. It does get talked about, but not enough. Is the effect that it has on loved ones and the people left behind. It's extremely traumatic, because certainly in our particular case, when Mum's GP said, "I think your mother has dementia," I remember thinking, "How dare you? How dare you assume anything about my mother?" You know, and you get very defensive and very, very protective. But of course, there's nothing you can do about it. It's extremely frustrating and hurtful. Fortunately, we never got to the position where Mum didn't know who we were. So we always had, when we went to visit her, she always knew who we were. Yeah. And fortunately, she died in her sleep, and she was only in a home for just over a year. Yeah. But some people, we had a relative who was in a home for, I don't know, 10 years or something.
Yeah. Mum had, it's about a 7-year journey for Mum.
Yeah, it was.
The first 2 years were kind of quite upsetting. Then you get to this point where it becomes quite humorous because she's in and out of knowing who she was and who she is now.
Yeah.
And there are some actually really funny moments. We were in a restaurant and suddenly she just starts shouting gravy because she wants more gravy. So she
doesn't put her hand up.
She just starts going, gravy, gravy, gravy.
And yet those moments when, you know, she's completely lucid are the ones that you cling on to because they are the mum that you knew your whole lives and loved. And so we're thinking about Betty this morning, of course. Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. So this new single is out now. Are we going to expect another new single? Because you've been working very hard. You had one only a few months ago. Then you've another one coming out in another couple of months, maybe?
Yes. Well, we're in the studio yesterday, actually. We've got 2 songs on the go, and we've yet to decide. We've got to finish them both off. And we've yet to decide which one should be the next single, but I think we already know.
Yeah, I think we'll aim at June or July.
Yeah.
Summer release, I think.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, I love writing a record. I love it.
Well, you both seem like the enthusiasm is still there like it was back many years ago. And thank you so much for joining us this morning, and the best of luck with the new single.
And a pleasure. Will you ask that guy to do a picture of us, please?
We will. We'll ask Jane to do a picture of both of you. Yeah.
With some hidden meaning inside it too.
With some lyrics. With some lyrics hidden in your faces.
Fantastic.
He was brilliant. They were really. Jack Charlton thing was amazing.
Yeah.
Really
Super,
fantastic.
Isn't he? Yeah, he's such a talent. Thanks so much,
guys.
Richard Fred. Thanks a million for joining us. And don't forget, of course, you can get your hands on Right Said Fred's brand new single, Your Inner Light Is Love, on all the usual digital platforms. And it's a happy, happy song. Who wouldn't love that?
It certainly is. And we're over in the catwalk next. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.